All right, everyone. So today we're going to be looking at how we can build our own temperature converter using Python. I don't think this is going to be an API thingy, but it's just going to be built with vanilla Python. We're going to be seeing how we can convert temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit, from Fahrenheit to Kelvin, from Kelvin to Celsius, blah, 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 blah. Right? Anyways, this is going to be very detailed. We're going to be doing this with Python, and yeah, this is like beginner's mode basically. So everything will be well explained and just, obviously straight to the point. So here I'm just going to look at the detailed description, and I'm just going to go over to example usage, right? So we can have a bit of context as to what we're building, right? So the description basically is saying temperature conversion is a common requirement in application ranging from weather forecasting to scientific calculators. This project aims to create a temperature converter API that performs conversion between Celsius, Fahrenheit, and Kelvin. The API will accept a temperature value and the unit of measurement as input, and it will return the equivalent values in the other unit. The API should be able to handle large numbers, invalid input, and edge cases, negative temperatures for Kelvin, etc. So supported conversion, Celsius to Fahrenheit, Celsius to Kelvin, Fahrenheit to Celsius, Fahrenheit to Kelvin, Kelvin to Celsius, Kelvin to Fahrenheit, basically. Okay, so example usage, I think this would guide us as to what exactly we're trying to build. The weather application can use this API to display temperatures in different units. If the user inputs a temperature of 25 degrees centigrade, the API will return the equivalent temperature in Fahrenheit and Kelvin. For example, input is 25 degrees Celsius, and then output is in Fahrenheit is 77 degree Fahrenheit, and in Kelvin is 298.15 Kelvin. So every other thing here builds upon what I've already read, especially the usage. Everything is just, pushing out what we've already read, and we are going to delve right into this, right? Okay, so let's just delve right into it and let's get started basically with Python. Again, if you maybe are not really comfortable with using Python context, using Python syntax or semantics, I would really suggest that you look at our Python course where we have a lot of topics that covers, easy mode all the way down to advanced models in Python. There you get to understand everything relating to Python and you can follow along properly building Python projects. So just to make sure that everything is well arranged, I have my project file called temp underscore converts.py. Now this is a Python file and I have it in a directory of my choice. Now I would always suggest that you have Python files inside of a project so it can serve as a repository where you can store your project and be able to access them and share with your friends, colleagues, and people that just like tech things. So mine is in a folder called projects, and this is where I store my mastering backend project files basically. And it depends on your choice. You might want to use a code editor that you love. You might want to use Sublime. You might want to use Atom. You might want to use Notepad++. Whichever one that is convenient for you, as far as you know how to navigate through that code editor, that is fine. As for me, I'm going to be making use of VS Code. I'm very conversant with VS Code, and I will be building this project using VS Code. All right, so first thing first is we need to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So I'm going to be leaving comments. Again, if the word comments threw you off guard, then this is a good time to look at our Python course. But I'm going to be leaving comments in each function just to indicate what that function is doing. And so we can tag along and not get confused along the way. So this first one basically is going to convert Celsius. I believe it's Celsius to Fahrenheit, I think like this, right? Fahrenheit. Let me know if I didn't get it spelling correctly, but I know I did. So, anyways, we're going to create a function called this. We're going to start with def, and then we're going to say Celsius, and then underscore two. No, there's a H, Fahrenheit, right? And we're going to take in Celsius as the parameter here. All right. And how do we convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit? I mean, we're going to times it by 9 and divide by 5 and then add 32 basically. But since we're going to be making use of board mass, we're going to be obviously doing this according to priority, right? So what we're going to do is open a bracket here and we're going to do Celsius. I mean, I'm not going to really go down to explain how these conversions are made. So when you ask me things like how do you know it was 9 over 5, I mean, this is something that I literally had to search online, to know how to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. So there's a calculation for that. You just have to check online to get the correct calculation. But obviously, what I'm going to type in here is the correct calculation to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit, right? So times 9 divided by 5, and then we're going to plus 32. So this is the calculation for converting Celsius to Fahrenheit, basically. All right. So the next one here we're going to do is we're going to convert Celsius, all right, to Kelvin. All right. So we're going to just put a bit of convert here. I'm just going to say convert to Kelvin. So we're going to come over here and then we're just going to say define, and then it's going to be Celsius, and then underscore to Kelvin, and then we're going to get in Celsius. So we're going to say return Celsius, no, Celsius plus 27, I think 273.15. So this is how we convert from Celsius to Kelvin by adding 273.15. So next one here is we're going to convert from Fahrenheit. So I think no, from Fahrenheit to Celsius. All right, so to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius, we need to minus 32 and divide 5 over 9. So what we're going to do is we're going to say def, obviously, to start the function. And here we're just going to say Fahrenheit, Fahrenheit underscore to Celsius. And what we're going to get in as the parameter here is going to be Fahrenheit. All right. I'm just trying to see the spelling. Okay, so here what we're going to say is return, and here we're going to say, we're going to take in the Fahrenheit. We're going to say Fahrenheit. This is this one here. And we're going to say minus 32. Okay, and then times 5 divided by 9. That's how you get Fahrenheit to Celsius. And again, we're going to say Fahrenheit to Kelvin. So Fahrenheit to Kelvin. So come over here and we'll just say convert Fahrenheit to Kelvin. So what are we getting? We're actually going to do def, and then I'm just going to say Fahrenheit underscore to underscore Kelvin. All right, so we're going to obviously come here and put in Fahrenheit. All right, so how do we do this? How do we convert Fahrenheit to Kelvin, basically? Now, this is very, very easy. So to convert Fahrenheit to Kelvin, would actually have to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius first of all, and we are then going to convert that Celsius, what we're going to get from here. We're going to now convert it to Kelvin, and that will give us the value, or that would give us the conversion from Fahrenheit to Kelvin. So let me just break it down for you guys. So we're going to put in here Celsius, and we are going to call Fahrenheit to Celsius. We're going to say Fahrenheit to Celsius, right? And we're going to expect a parameter obviously here called Fahrenheit. Okay, and we're going to return Celsius to Kelvin, right? And then we're going to put in Celsius there. So this is how we can convert Fahrenheit to Kelvin. So let me just go through this very quickly. Now we're going to have a variable called Celsius, and we are going to get the calculation from this function here called Fahrenheit to Celsius, which is this one. This is the evaluation, right? And once we get the evaluation for this, we're going to store it in this variable, and then we're going to return Celsius to Kelvin, which is this, and we're going to put in Celsius, or the evaluation of this here, and this is return, and this would return Fahrenheit to Kelvin. I know it's very complex, I know, but I'm not the one that did the mathematics. You have to ask these people that have so many names, Kelvin, Fahrenheit, Celsius, I don't know. You have to ask them why there's so much math in this. Anyways, that's fine. So let's now do Kelvin to Celsius, right? So we'll just do convert Kelvin to Celsius, right? So we're going to do define, and here we're going to do Kelvin to underscore Celsius. All right, and here we're going to take in Kelvin as a parameter. All right, so we'll say return Kelvin, and we're going to do minus 273.15. Now that will give you Kelvin to Celsius. And here we have convert. So basically, we're going to convert from Kelvin to Fahrenheit this time around. So say converts from Kelvin to Fahrenheit. So how to define, and then we'll just say Kelvin to Fahrenheit. All right. So what we're gonna take in at this point is Kelvin. All right, and here we're gonna say Celsius. Celsius. No, Celsius. All right, and it's going to be Kelvin to Celsius, which is this one here. And then taking a parameter here called Kelvin. All right, so we're going to return Celsius to Fahrenheit, and we're going to put in Celsius. So this is how you can convert from Kelvin to Fahrenheit. Again, this is all mathematical. I mean, this whole function just, draws inferences from the physical calculations of these temperatures, right? So it's not something that is Python related or anything. So I'm just trying to bring in the logic from the main mathematical component of this conversions and try to replicate it here in Python, right? So I'm not just making up this word. I actually had to research it online, write it down somewhere, and just, make sure that I'm using the right numbers to make the comparison. All right, so we're going to create a function, that would do the main converting, and we're going to call this convert temperature, right? And we're not expecting anything. So here we're going to say try. All right, so now we're going to get the input values from the user. Now we're going to get the value and the units they want to convert from, right? So to do that, what we're going to see is value, all right, and then we're going to say floats, all right, and inputs. So say enter the temperature value. Now, if all these things like float is making you confused, then it means that you do not have a very strong foundational skills in Python. And I would suggest that you check out our Python course and you'll be able to get a substantial amount of knowledge and expertise with Python before you jump on to produce or code and make Python projects like this one I'm making. So you want to get the unit as well too, and then you say input, and here you just say enter the units. All right, so here we have Celsius, we have Fahrenheit, and here we have Kelvin, right? So we're just going to make sure there's space for the user to input, and then we're just going to say strip to clear out trail and trail spaces, and then make everything lowercase, right? So here we're going to put in the except block. So except there is value error. So we're just going to say value error. All right. So what we want to do is return, and now we're going to put in value error, and we're going to make this a squarely bracket basically, and then we'll just say error. And here we're just going to say invalid temperature. Invalid temperature value. Please enter a number, right? So I mean, I'm going to explain everything at the end of the day, what these things are doing, but I don't want to explain something that I'm referencing in the future, so I wouldn't confuse you at an early stage. So here we're going to say if unit is Celsius, so everything in small letter. So we're going to return, all right, we're going to return something, what are we returning? So here we're going to say Fahrenheit, and then we'll have an F string here, and here we're going to say Celsius to Fahrenheit, all right, and here we're going to have value, okay, for the evaluation, and we are going to round up into significant values basically. And here we're just going to do F, right? So that to donate Fahrenheit. Makes sense, right? Okay. So let's continue. And here we have Kelvin as well. So we're gonna do Kelvin, and this is to Kelvin, right? All right. So here we're gonna say F string, and Sorry, I didn't do something. I'll put a comma here. So F string, we're gonna come over here and we're gonna say Celsius to Kelvin, all right? And then obviously value here, all right? And we are just going to format this to two significant figures, and this is just gonna be K. Let's just put the K here outside. All right, so next one is we're just going to do for Fahrenheit and we're going to do for Kelvin as well too, right? So we'll put an elif block here. We'll just say elif unit equals Fahrenheit. So Fahrenheit. All right, so we're going to say return and then squarely breaks this. So here we're going to say Celsius. All right, and put an F string here. And then we're going to say Fahrenheit to Celsius. And this is going to contain the value. Okay, and it's going to be dot two. And let this be in C, capital C for Celsius. So don't forget to put your comma here. And to convert this in Kelvin, all we have to do for Kelvin is we have to come over here and then just say F string and to see Fahrenheit, I'm so sorry, F string Fahrenheit to Kelvin, right? And obviously we're going to put in the value here and again round up these things to two significant figures and we are going to just put K here, all right, just to denote the conversion to Kelvin. So now the next one is basically to put in Kelvin if the unit is Kelvin. So just elif units equals to Kelvin. All right, so if value is greater than 0, all right, so return, we're going to return an error and then it's going to be Kelvin cannot be negative, right? And if value is less than 0, that if it's a negative value, you're saying Kelvin cannot be negative. We're just going to return, and here's going to be Celsius. All right, and this is going to be an F string here, and here we just have Kelvin to Celsius. Now we're going to put in value here as well, and then to F, and this will be C. Don't forget a comma. And next one here says Fahrenheit. So Fahrenheit F string. All right, and here this is Kelvin to Fahrenheit. Put in value here as well too. I'm so sorry. All right, so what is going on is I don't have an F string well defined here. I'm just define that F string properly. So I'll put this where I'm going to put it at. Okay, so what is going on? What is going on? All right, so I didn't put that where I was supposed to put that. Should I put it there? Yeah, place it there. Okay, so value just put two significant, and this is going to be F, right? Just to denote Fahrenheit as well. So here we're going to put an else statement just to make sure that the user input something that we can return. So here we're going to say error, and here we're going to say invalid unit, supported invalid unit. Here we're going to say supported units, yeah, supported units, Celsius, Fahrenheit, so Fahrenheit, and then Kelvin, right? Okay, so those are the supported units. And here we can simply come over here and say, hold on, I have an error here. Let me see if there's a quick fix for this. It was not closed. Something wasn't closed well. What was not closed? Error. Okay, yeah. Oh, I shouldn't have used this kind of bracket. It should be an dictionary. Okay. So we're going to run the converter here, and we're going to say results. is equals to convert underscore temperature, and we're going to print results, and we're going to say results. Okay, so you guys, let me explain what is going on from the beginning and then get to the end so that everybody is well informed as to what's going on. So now we have our first function here, which converts Celsius to Fahrenheit. And obviously, we created a function called Celsius to Fahrenheit, which is expecting an input that obviously is the Celsius number. And then we're going to say Celsius times 9 divided by 5 plus 32. That is how you convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit. And again, I got this information obviously on the internet. I mean, I'm not that smart enough to have all these things stored in my head, and I wasn't so good at maths anyways. So just take that as a side note. Now this line 5, line 6, line 7 obviously convert from Celsius to Kelvin. So to do that, all you have to do is add 273.15 to your Celsius and you're able to convert to Kelvin. And then we have Fahrenheit to Celsius. So to do Fahrenheit to Celsius, all you have to do is Fahrenheit minus 32 times 5 divided by 9. This is how you can convert Fahrenheit to Celsius. Now from Fahrenheit to Kelvin, how do you do that? Now you actually have to bring in Fahrenheit to Celsius, and then Fahrenheit to Celsius obviously gives you this calculation. So you're going to get the calculation from the conversion from Fahrenheit to Celsius, and then you're going to put in the Fahrenheit value, which is what obviously is in here. You put in that value as well to here, and then you're going to return Celsius to Kelvin. Celsius to Kelvin is this one here. So what you get from here is Celsius to Kelvin. You're going to add the answer you get from here into as a parameter, and then that would give you Fahrenheit to Kelvin. So same thing here from Kelvin to Celsius. All you have to do is minus 273.15, and that's how you convert from Kelvin to Celsius. And then to convert from Kelvin to Fahrenheit, you also have to convert first from Kelvin to Celsius, put Kelvin user input as the parameter here, and then return Celsius to Fahrenheit, and then put the Celsius as a parameter. The evaluation that you get from here is then what is the proper conversion from Kelvin to Fahrenheit. Now, we now created another function called convert temperature. Now, this is what is responsible to get the user's input and make sense out of it. So here we have try block, which obviously is saying, oh, we want the user to enter a value, probably 125, 1900, 100, 1000, etc. And then we want to now get the value of that number you've entered. So the 100 degree, what exactly is the value? Is it, sorry, what exactly is the unit rather? Is it Celsius, Fahrenheit, or Kelvin? So let's say you do 100 degree for Celsius, and then this again will just remove all the trailing spaces. As you can see, return a copy of the string with leading and trailing white spaces removed. If charge is given and not none, remove characters in charge instead. Anyways, what this is doing basically for this particular thing here is just remove all trailing and leading white spaces. And here we're going to convert it to lowercase with the help of this lower function here, or this lower method basically here. So once we've done this, we're going to now raise a value, an except block with value error that basically just returns error when we did not input a number inside of this value input box, because what it's expecting here is actually a floating point number, basically an integer. Then here we have the if and else block. So here we have if unit is equals to Celsius. What do we want to do? We want to return Fahrenheit to, I want to return Celsius to Fahrenheit and Celsius to Kelvin. If it's Fahrenheit, we want to return Fahrenheit to Celsius and Fahrenheit to Kelvin. If it's Kelvin, we want to return Kelvin to Celsius and Kelvin to Fahrenheit. But just as a check, we must make sure that the value in Kelvin is not less than 0, because Kelvin cannot accept values less than 0. That doesn't make any sense within the Kelvin ecosystem of temperatures, right? So here we also have the else block that will let you know if the user did not enter a supported unit. So if the user did not enter Celsius, Fahrenheit, or Kelvin, we are going to know with this return block here that will tell the user, oh, you need to input the valid units, basically. Now, after we've done that, we now have results, which is a variable, and then we're going to assign the output of this convert temperature to this result variable. We're going to print out the results in the terminal for you to see, for me to see, and for everyone to see. That's how you make a temperature converting solution, right? So just to test out what we've done so far, I'm going to run this, and I'm going to see how it looks like. So when I just click on the play button at the top right of the screen here, they should run this code for me, and you can see it says enter the temperature value. So say for example I enter 100 and I do enter, so enter the unit, so I can just do something like Celsius and then enter. Now you can see the results. Fahrenheit is 2.200, and then in Kelvin it is 3.3, sorry, 373.5 K, which obviously denotes Kelvin. So I can obviously run this script again, right? And then enter a value. I can just put in like 40, and then what is the conversion you want to use? I can say Kelvin, and then this is just going to give me minus 233.15 in Celsius, and then Fahrenheit is minus 387.67 in Fahrenheit. So this is how you can basically create your own custom temperature converter. You can obviously add lots of functionalities to this, make it robust, make it better, make it good, and just think of the endless possibilities you can add to make this better and to grow from there. If you have any issues building this, you can always reach out to us and we'll be available to attend to your issue and see exactly, how we can appreciate your project basically. So take your time, go through everything, and let me just run this one more time, and then I do something like this. So let me do enter temperature. I do minus, 37, and then I enter Kelvin. What does this tell me? It just says results error. Kelvin cannot be negative. So clear things out basically, and that is just the checks, right? That is the checks. I can also run this, and then I can say enter a property. If I do chili, instead of entering a number, it's just going to tell me invalid temperature value. Please enter a number. So just to make sure that all the checks we have are working and everything is working so far. So this is basically how to do the temperature converter project with vanilla Python. Now we didn't even import any external library. We didn't have to install any external library. Everything we've done so far all comes from the inbuilt libraries and documents in Python. All right. So I'll leave you to go through this at your own time and see how you can familiarize yourself with all the concepts and functions in this project and see how you can apply it to yours. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for paying attention and following along to the very end. And I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye for now.